The federal government of Nigeria owns all mineral resources deposited in the country as enshrined in the constitution of the country as well as the Mining and Minerals Act. The mining sector contributed 4.61% to the nation's GDP in the second quarter of this year, a significant increase from the contribution of less than 0.5% a decade ago. As the sector continues to undergo changes, where is the place of small miners alongside major investors? And of course, where are the women? We'll be answering these questions and more in the course of the program. My name is Leah Babat, and you're welcome to the Policy with Leah. As always, we begin the business of the day from the trends table.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the introduction of a 15% tax on petrol and diesel imports into Nigeria in a move aimed at protecting local refineries and stabilizing the downstream markets. The president, in a letter signed by his private secretary, Adeyemi, and addressed to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, directed immediate implementation of the tariff as part of what the government described as a market-responsive import tariff framework. The president's approval following a proposal by the executive chairman of the FIRC, Adeyemi. Global commodity prices are projected to fall to their lowest level in 6 years in 2026, marking the fourth consecutive year of decline, according to the World Bank Group's latest commodity market outlook. Prices are forecast to drop by 7% in both 2025 and 2026, driven by weak global economic growth, a growing oil surplus, and persistent policy uncertainty. Falling energy prices are helping to ease global inflation, while lower rice and wheat prices have helped make food more affordable in some developing countries, but commodity prices remain above pre-pandemic levels. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has denied selling foreign exchange for the importation of refined petroleum nor any other products. According to a statement by the bank spokesperson, Mrs. Hakama Sidi Ali, there has been some misreporting that forcefully implies the bank disbursed $1.259 billion to major oil sector operators for the importation of refined petroleum products and related items. She noted that since the unification of the exchange rate in 2023, the NFEM has operated as a market-driven system where foreign exchange is sourced and supplied by market participants not allocated by the CBN. The Nigerian Insurance Commission (NICOM) and the Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) have inaugurated a joint committee on the enforcement of compulsory third-party motor insurance. It marks a major step in the implementation of the provisions of the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act (NIIRA) 2025 and reinforces both institutions' shared commitment to strengthening road safety, promoting insurance compliance, and ensuring prompt compensation for accident victims. Speaking during the inauguration, the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Olusegun Ayo Omoseyin, noted that the collaboration will deliver concrete benefits to Nigerians through effective enforcement of compulsory third-party motor insurance, integration of insurance and vehicle registration databases, enhanced protection and compensation for road accident victims, and increased public education on insurance obligations and consumers' rights.
And next is our policy conversation on mining. Nigeria's current minerals and mining policy emphasizes in-country value addition, moving away from the export of raw materials. Key aspects include the ban on raw mineral exports unless a plan for local processing is demonstrated, incentives for processing and beneficiation, and a focus on strategic minerals like lithium for clean energy. The world indeed is looking for lithium, and we know why. Joining me for this conversation is the National President, Women in Mining in Nigeria. This is Janet Adeyemi. It's nice to have you, Ma, once again on the program.
Thank you so much, and it's always a delight to meet you, Leah.
For context, we have what the world needs, and that is lithium, among other minerals that Nigeria has deposited in the ground. But there's always the question, can Nigeria do it without foreign investors?
That's quite an interesting question, because mining itself, like you know, has various stages, from conceptualization to what you call exploration, to exploitation, to processing, to value addition. And that processing is just not one stage. There are various types of processing. So when it comes to all these things, I don't think any particular country can say I have it all, especially in the global south, because of the level of technology involved. But there can be collaboration if we decide to do that. And so when you look at the exploration side, for instance, you have academics, the academician who will come in, who can participate in exploration. After the exploration, some people have to do interpretation. The geochemists have to work to do the analysis and confirm the grade of lithium. So that when you know the grade of lithium, I don't like saddling the public, you understand, with technicalities. Keep it simple. So when you know the grade, there are certain grades that are attractive just in anything, in any mineral resources. So when you have that grade, that is when the investor can, then, you know, certain quantifications will have been done. And that quantification has to be done by certified people. As of today, Africa is on the path of having their own standards, their own code, where their own experts, you know, can do these things. That's using the AMREC and the PAC to analyze these things. But currently, especially working with EU, it's the JOC code that is popular, or the Canadian standard of I-143. So with that, if you have a standard report, what you call a bankable report, that bankable report is what you now take to investors. After exploration, then you can go to the next stage. So what I'm saying is that when you look at all this part, you find some companies are up there. Standard laboratories are just probably coming up. If you don't have before, we used to take our samples to Canada. And then remember that the investment is a capital intensive program. You need money. If the money is coming offshore, he who gives the money dictates the tune. You understand? So that is why, to me, it's not something you can sit alone as a country and say, oh, I want to do. You can create collaboration. Then what of the infrastructure? I believe in partnership, I believe in collaboration, and maybe that is why the theme of our conference is looking at collaboration. You understand? Accelerating collaboration. There should be collaboration at all stages, you understand, where everybody is involved. But however, the locals must not be left behind.
For players like you in the industry, one will be wondering, what is local participation like, and are we really doing enough?
The real local people hardly know even the resources they are sitting on, the wealth of what they have. You need somebody to be able to tell them that this is the wealth of what you have. So negotiation, in the process of negotiation, is very important for them to know what they want and be able to negotiate when companies come around, especially during CDAs. Before that, even in the exploration, you find out that the local, when you talk of local now, you are talking of Nigerians, as if that is people who are wholly Nigerian or living in Nigeria who work down here. Exploration, they are part of it, because there's no way you can know a country. The geology of a country has some local applications, more than, you understand, the way it will appear, the configuration and everything. You need the local experts in Nigeria, the likes of Professor Okunola, Professor Gabra, you understand, especially in exploration or mapping, who have done extensive regional mapping, that they have data at their disposal. So for those scientific team, you need a lot of local, in fact, more than the foreigners at that stage. Then when it comes to the investment part of it, you equally need the local people, because the local people must be able to educate the community where these resources are going to be taken. You want to look at the environmental conditions. Remember ESG. ESG has not been really pronounced or declared, but it's very important where you look at environmental, social, and governance pattern. It is the local people who can tell you what the conditionalities are. And now the government is even coming up with some wonderful policies. And you need to build up the capacity of the people. You need local components to be able to participate, to understand what the cultural dynamics are. I always tell people, you don't go to somebody's house without understanding the cultural background. That's number one failure. I went with a team I work for in the US, and we went to Australia and I was amazed with what I saw. Before they did anything, they acknowledged the gods of the land. If it's just to satisfy those people, you do it. Whatever they want, you make sure you do it. In Canada now, too, is the norm, especially where you have what you call the indigenous people. We don't have indigenous people here in Nigeria as such, because what we have, I can't indigenous. We are all indigenous people. You understand? But if you go to communities where you have that, and where with constitutional laws and things like that, you have sort of relegated them to the background, and they are now gradually finding their voice because the world is giving them their voice, or their voices. It is very, very important that you accommodate whatever the Constitution says. It reduces conflict, it reduces tension, because when you include that local participation, which you call local content component of it, when you drive it into projects, you find out that it's easier for you to sustain the project. Then perception index of your project is equally very important. The people are able to appreciate your project, and then because there will be job employment for them because you have done some training, skill acquisition, skill building, and then there's natural aspects of the activities that you seed out to the people. If you go to some very big companies in other countries, you'll find out that there are restaurants, there are catering services, there are uniforms and things like that. Service, definite the guidelines, you understand, provided for these services to be rendered not just by locals, but even by women. So when you're able to do this holistically, you find out that there will be peace, there will be harmony, and then the company will be able to produce effectively. But the most important thing is for you to know that at every level of it, we have experts. If it is work experience, we have quite a number of Nigerians who are working overseas, who are doing very well. In Australia, we have a son who has gotten awards severally working in one of the big companies over there, especially on environment and sustainability in the mines. We have them all over the place. So for me, it's a question of balance, and then transfer of skills, and then make sure you empower your own people, because at the end of the day, if you allow your resources to go without empowering your people will take the consequences. And a typical example is what you see in Jos Plateau today. Today, the diamonds and on the crowns, the things have been used to build countries like London and co. The various crowns they carry, with diamonds being taken from West Africa, from Africa and other places. But what did they leave behind? Relics of ponds that destroys our children every time. Some are still radioactive, and the children innocently dive into these ponds. If you go to hospitals and you do the medical check, just do an inventorization, you'll find the kind of ailments that these young children, especially boys, it's peculiar to them. And I tell you, it's because of the association to mine ponds. Understand where they go there. The ponds are not reclaimed, which should be the standard practice.
We also have adults, even in places like Abuja, who actually dive into some of these pits, perhaps for recreation. And are we going to call it lack of knowledge, or it is the lack of awareness, or do we frame it to be poverty? What is driving these things that you have mentioned, have their health consequences on people?
I think it's a mix. It's because I say nobody wants to die. I don't think anybody wants to die. Nobody wants to die, except in very critical situations. So most things are tied to ignorance. Because I will give you an example. Why should somebody go, especially during the rainy season, why should somebody go into a pit that is not reinforced? Down below. And you know the overburden is wet. It can collapse anytime. And yet you go in. It's as a result of what you call the push and pull factor, poverty. To survive, to look for what to eat. And then when you find some people who go into that ponds, in every neighborhood, for God's sake, there should be recreation facilities, no matter, and that's the difference. I look every time I have the opportunity of traveling overseas, I look around and I say, these people are not better than us. Look at what they use for their building. One thing they don't neglect is that they provide amenities to take care of the needs of everybody. You cannot restrict children indoors 24 hours. Children have to go out. Where are the playground? Every area is built up. So the little escape they find, you understand, children will always want to indulge in it and probably go and swim. And they don't know. Their parents don't even know, you understand, that some of those things are dangerous. They just see water, seated in, and, oh, this is water, let me dive in. And if you look at the anchor story, you find again that it's out of ignorance. Ignorance in the sense that is why women in mining is very important. Women in mining is an all-encompassing thing. Looks at the whole mining chain, from people who are living in mining community to those people who are rich, who have products, who are mining, who can take their products to the market to sell. Their husband went out to mine, came up with uniform, came up with whatever, and they just put them there carelessly. Nobody told them that, oh, please, you have to shower first before you enter the house. You have to put your work clothes somewhere, don't put it in. So those dust particles, you understand, that has lead, that has everything. Then out of poverty too, you understand, you want to do some mini extraction yourself, you carry your mortar and pestle, you understand, and you start. So it's a mix of everything together. But government has a responsibility. We have 774 local governments. The day we stop stealing as a nation, this day we start taking ownership of our society, individual ownership. I'm not talking of government now, because when we say government is a lie. Individuals are stealing. Whatever responsibility, all you have to do is, if we have a method of asking people to give account of assignments, you will find out that 70% of the leakages, even the people in government are even probably doing more than the individual civil servants, the individual people who are working and who keep on saying, I know it's government. If the allocation given to local governments is well utilized, and if we follow the principle of growth and development, every town should have a plan, a model plan. I was in Dawaki last week. I almost fainted when I saw, they said the other end of Dawaki, very close to the foot of the mountain, and no road, nothing, and people just built some beautiful houses. And you start, how can people build like this? Even common sense, logic. How do you get to your houses?
You pass through somebody's house to yours.
So you pass through somebody's house to your own house, and we are all driving big cars. Because if somebody is even selling you a false land, you should know that this land doesn't have, where is the delineation? You understand? Where is the survey plan for this thing? Where is the So we don't ask questions. So, and everybody's just out to build, everybody's out to acquire, and everybody wants to say, don't you know who I am syndrome? You understand? So we are all above the law. And the cumulative effect is that we have a disjointed society that affects every fabric of the society. You know why suddenly everybody is having typhoid, everybody is having what looks like COVID now? Our currency. Our notes are extremely dirty, and I'm using this opportunity to digress a little and talk to government. Extremely, extremely dirty. It's a disgrace, because every time you are counting, take notes of the debts you are using, they're in your hands. And human beings is natural. Do you start washing hands every minute? You are just spreading infections across, because the notes are extremely dirty. And if you challenge me, just take a note and put it under a microscope and see what you will see there. It's extremely dirty. And so everybody is breaking down, but nobody is tracing this thing to that. You understand? If we want to go cashless, then let's enforce the cashless thing such that we are not circulating that notes. You get to the banks, that's what the banks are giving you. They tell you they don't have notes. It's always tattered notes that are extremely dirty. So for me, these are the cumulative things. People are poor, so they don't mind. They take risk, you understand, that they are not aware of, because nobody has educated them, nobody has built their capacity. And then the companies that are exposed are out to, that the companies that are knowledgeable are out to maximize profit. Even their tailings, they discharge anyhow, you understand, they don't follow guidelines, you understand. So All these things have cumulative effect on our health.
When we talk beneficiation, where is Nigeria vis-a-vis her relationship with, for instance, the European Union and other partners we've had various agreements with?
Yeah, beneficiation is quite an interesting subject, especially across Africa. South Africa have always relied on mineral resources for development. When we that is where we relied on our oil. But what did we do with our oil? We export crude oil. We hardly add value. Same with the raw materials from mining in countries where they produce raw materials. But thank God for the sudden realization of the need to earn money. And that the only way they could earn money, you understand, is to enforce beneficiation. And the EU seem to be wanting to cooperate now because they came up with what you call the CRM, especially for Critical Minerals Act. And you see that that act recognizes those things African countries are talking about, to say, okay, you want to diversify. So now you find what we call global supply chain network. We are trying to build it, we are trying to concretize it. And some of the policies a country like Nigeria will look at is that once we are able to do formalization, craft code domestication will come into the various mining cooperatives. So for you to be able to sell your mineral resources, you can only sell to people who are registered, people who are, you understand, the big guys who are there. So that will expand the supply chains, and they will now be the conduit, you understand, to wherever it's going. But you'll find that volume has been added. So smuggling mineral resources out of the country might be a little bit difficult. So which is a good one. Then the other thing is that you look at them that in terms of our local content policies, again, they recognize that, oh, you want to add value, you want to do this. And so respect is very important, where you now tend to want to respect policies that people are coming up in their own country, in their own domains. So I believe that all these ones will aid our beneficiation. And African Union is so aggressive about promoting the beneficiation. That was why they created what they call the AJEC. You see AJEC in the forefront through their agency, African Mineral Development Center, you understand, promoting trade shows all across and promoting beneficiation, that is jewelry making and things like that. So people are beginning to make jewelry. If you look at the current crown Miss Universe is wearing, you understand, for the competition, is made here in Nigeria by our own daughter, Tejiri Omologe Adeshina, a member of Women in Mining. We provided the resources. We encouraged her to say, yes, she can do it. She did the first year in 2022. The same crown was made. And Ben Bruce, I was so excited, and we partnered. So this year again, a better crown was made, a better version of it. And every component of that crown was from Nigeria. So those are the things you call beneficiation. People are beginning to make rings. I've just run into one beautiful sister of mine, Ahira Mining. She's the vice chairman of Kosi Mines. They mine gold in Kwara State, and state-of-the-art jewelry that you can't fault, you understand, compared to what we buy on the shelf in Dubai. Is what they are producing in Nigeria. And people who are beginning to use the stones. We have the likes of Indaja, we have the likes of Professor Aga, we have the likes of Olatunji, we have the likes of Allen, Chide Chibuke. All of them coming up with stones are now coming up as master cutters. So those are the beauty of beneficiation. So the market is gradually opening up because through AJEC is doing that. So you can see cross-sharing of goods. Emeralds from Zambia is finding its way to Ghana, is finding its way to Nigeria, where people are using them to make jewelry. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, the ring he wore for his 80th birthday was made in Nigeria, you understand, from Garnet. And very lovely. He was so proud to display by the same Tejiri, you understand. So you have Eternal Gems, you understand, Funke Olaniro, you understand, who is equally doing beautiful, that when you see this jewelry, you wouldn't think, you understand, that they are made in Nigeria. So we don't have to, it's not left for us to equally develop the Nigerian spirit, just like Dangote said, where we learn to encourage one another. Things that are made in Nigeria, be proud to wear them. I tell us, what I wore is an assemblage from Nigeria, you understand? And I'm so proud of it. You know, I don't even wear Western things again. I'll get a tailor to I buy my cereal and I give it to the tailor to make, because they are better off. And even on the scale of cost, they are cheaper. I think beneficiation had come to stay, and it will help us to grow our economy.
I'd like to take you back to what you rightly observed as infrastructure, but then where is the place of logistics and infrastructure when we're talking mining in Nigeria?
We don't have any supporting infrastructure to any mines. And those are some of the limitations, because there should be some basic infrastructures. Our road network, you yourself will know that even traveling even between cities is challenging, not to talk of traveling to locations, mine locations. We are the rail network now. I'm yet to upgrade myself and see what our rail network is looking like. But you find for bulk carriage of all materials, how do you carry them? Bulk transportation, the best option is rail. You understand? How do you move these things? It's still very, very challenging. And that is why our road networks are not even lasting, because the pressure on the road. Then in some other countries, you have what you call weigh bridge, you understand, such that there's a maximum load capacity on what you can carry. But have you seen trucks being loaded and overloaded and overloaded? And for all those overloading, the impact is on the foundation of the road. And so that's why you find roads that are failing constantly, because we don't have facilities to maintain that. Then energy. Energy is very crucial to mining. Even if it's conjunctive use of energy, you know, where you do an energy mix. Do we have the energy? Even right now, we are battling where we are now, you understand? So you cannot imagine what mine sites are. And so when you have to put in all those things, yes, there are certain things you can do by sharing infrastructure, creating corridors, you understand, mining corridors, you know, where people, but at times the mines are not located in such a way that people can create corridors where they are sharing common infrastructural facilities. So when it comes to that, we are the seaports, you understand? We are the dry docks, where you can move equipment. Even South Africa created what's like an electric monorail. Though the services are being provided by these mining companies at a cost or jointly provided, but we are yet to start. But those are things I'm sure with the zeal the current minister is putting into the mining sector, we're able to revolutionize the mining sector. But he cannot do it alone. You understand? There's a need to set up what you call an interministerial committee. The world has shifted from the basic things we are doing, and it's right, we should sit down and equally upgrade as a country. If we have to diversify our economy, what are the critical areas we are looking at? What is the world looking at? The first thing on the map of the world these days is IT. Look at the budget of US, how much they put into AI. Now there's a kind of rivalry between China and US. Who takes #1 position in AI. Digital education is very, very important. #2, entertainment industry. Because everybody now is a content developer and you sit down, you are making money. So you must find a way of taxing those things and make sure you have money to run your economy. #3, you look at mining. Fossil fuel is not #3, because fossil fuel is gradually sliding down the road. So you look at because all these things you mentioned, as long as the climate change drama is still with us, and which is a reality, that means we have to think of alternative sources of energy that is more friendly, you understand, to the climate than what it is now. Mining alone contributes about 4%. So that tells you that we have to look, mining, we top the list, but you have to manage it, because fossil fuel can be worse off. And the moment we do that, it will help in shaping the direction of growth of our economy. Agriculture is critical because everybody has to feed. And you find out the world, we have an advantage here. Even though all manner of impositions are coming as sanctions, you understand, for us to go on GMO modified products. But organic foods remain you understand, and we have the land, we have everything. When I see people who have vast lands and we are greening, why are we not greening with food? So these are the areas. Mining is not going anywhere at all. Mining is going to be more pronounced. Lithium we are talking about today was a waste before. But suddenly today, because of innovation, because of technology, people saw what they can get from it. But research is ongoing. People are already thinking, oh no, this one, we want a cleaner energy. So people are looking at fission and fusion, of which Bill Gates is a champ, and they said by 2030 they will roll out that technology. So when that technology comes again, you find out that lithium, you understand, probably dive down a little in the global north. The global south can still be struggling to have it, but it will die down a little.
I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Adeyemi, for making time for this conversation and for sharing your thoughts with me.
Thank you.
The complete conversation is available on YouTube on our channel. It is at Saban Media Services. Simplified is next, and from there we take you to the local commodities market. We draw the curtains here. Market and More is available on our sister channel. It is www.marketnigeriatv.com. And don't forget that we have this episode and every other one available on YouTube. It is at Saban Media Services. You can also watch all the episodes on our partner stations, Captain TV, Global TV Nigeria, and KSMC News. Until we come your way again, same time next week, be good out there, and God bless Nigeria.